Out driving with the queens on the green. Queens out on the green. Who we are, it don't change. Score so low, it's insane. Out driving with the queens on the green. Queens out on the green.
Welcome to Queens on the Green here at Augusta Jam in the PGD Global Virtual Clubhouse. Today we welcome our amazing guestie and our childhood bestie. Let's give it up for Casey Wittenberg.
What's up?
Hey, Kay.
What's going on? Thank y'all for having me on.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here and thank you for wearing green and following Queens on the Green
Look.
Masters Week dress code.
There you go. That's right. Just for y'all.
That's the deal. Masters Week, you have to wear green. You know, we're getting ready. Green is the theme.
On the green.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got it.
Casey, we're so excited to have you on our segment. We've known each other for many, many years. We grew up together. Why don't you go ahead and share with us a little bit about how you got started into the game of golf?
So I got started by my father. My father played the tour back in the early 70s. So golf was kind of always in our family. And it just kind of started out as like a fun thing to do. My brother, I have an older brother that's 3.5 years older than me. So we all three would go to the golf course as youngsters and just hang out with our dad. And really that's kind of how I got going.
We love Mama Didi.
I know, Mama Didi. Mama Didi was the competitive one of the family. She was the one that kind of like got us all fired up. So I got two great parents, both that I have great relationships with. I've been very fortunate.
And this was all in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yep, Memphis, Tennessee, born and raised.
Okay, and then share with us a little bit about your transition from Memphis, Tennessee to what is now the IMG Sports Academy, where we grew up in Sarasota, Florida. Bradenton, Florida.
Yeah. So for me, I was living in Memphis, playing golf in the summers, obviously doing both sports, being a 5'8" short white kid. My other sports careers weren't going to go very far, but I was pretty good at golf.
You're just falling short of the dunk.
Unfortunately, the basketball.
You're falling short.
No, I mean, I can dunk on probably about a 7-foot goal. So that's about all I got.
Oh.
But needless to say, golf was kind of my thing. And I was kind of transitioning more towards that. And I got approached by Gary Gilchrist, who y'all know. And he was starting the academy and trying to get it up and going. And originally, like when we all started down there, it was only like 40 people.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a neat culture. I went down there for like a summer camp, for like a week long. Met Kevin Conley, who y'all both know. And he was an
all
instructor.
of our coaches. Kevin Conley
he was our
coaches.
Absolutely. And I really kind of just fell in love with the environment and I thought it was cool and went down there. And for me, it was a great experience. It's not for every single kid, but it was something that I really thrived in. And I had a really great time down there.
Like the IMG Academy, right? It's like, you know, you say it's not for every kid. And I feel like when I was there, I didn't realize what was happening. Like I was meeting kids and, you know, from all over the world, right? And it was, golf normalizes these international relationships where, you know, you're playing with someone from Tunisia and Brazil and China.
I've never heard of a lot of the countries until, yeah, you're right. You rub shoulders with different players from, you know, different sports where you're like, wow, you're from where?
Right.
Like when you look back on it now, it was really a pretty incredible thing because the academy today is not what the academy was when we all started. Like we were brought there to sell the brand.
Yeah.
And so like when you look at what the 40 players were that were at the academy when we were all there, I mean, we really made that place. I mean, you Ari and Nari and Ramon and, you know, ourselves and Michael Barbosa and the Corda sisters and, you know, just all the people that were there. I mean, I remember at one point in time, I think it was like the second year I was there, I think we had like 1 through 15 in the girls Rolex junior rankings. And then we had like 15 out of the top 35 boys in the Rolex junior rankings, all practicing in the back of a driving range behind an oyster bar that had an AstroTurf chipping green. And we were literally going around and winning pretty much every single major junior tournament there was. And, you know, those were fun times. And, you know, like y'all said, I mean, I met some people there that I never would have had an opportunity to meet, you know, just growing up in Memphis, Tennessee. And it was just really a cool experience for me.
I agree. Like, I feel like it was such a smaller environment because at the time it was just golf. We had soccer that came in, but it was golf and tennis. And I remember rubbing shoulders with like Pete Sampras and the
Willie number one in the world at the time, right?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Like I remember when Agassi was there. I remember like the first time I ever think I walked into the weight room, like Serena was in there working out and she was only like 18 years old or maybe not even that old at that time. And, you know, obviously Maria and all those people there.
Remember how hot Kornikova was at the time?
I know.
No, I mean, just across the board. I mean, every sport. I mean, you had, you know, a lot of rock stars who are now, you know, playing MLS who were just beginning their soccer careers, getting on the bus, and we were all going to school. Like,
I mean, Eddie Johnson, Freddie Adu, DeMarcus, all those guys. Like, we were like an English class with those guys. Just like hanging around, like Landon Donovan, like DeMarcus and Landon, they've played on like 6 World Cup teams. Like, I mean, you know, those are pretty cool experiences that really, that's the only place you could have even had that type of an environment.
I just want to say one thing before so when I moved to the academy, this was like 1995?
No, that's been too early.
No, 95. I was there in 95.
Oh, were you really?
My roommate in 96, so the following year, was Jelena Jankovic, who is now a tennis superstar. And just looking back at like being her roommate and understanding like at that age, the competitiveness and that drive and the discipline that we were taught at such a young age. I mean, I think we were far ahead of the game.
I mean, absolutely.
And to your point, Casey, like, I guess, you know, I look at it where, you know, it wasn't for everybody, but if you have the opportunity, you know, it's such a good place to go, even to experience, because that level and that energy that everybody's operating on is win, 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 win. And, you know, it carries over in day-to-day life. Like, I still look back at some of my experiences at IMG academies and I cherish them, even though at the time I was like, what am I doing? Why am I golfing? Like, doing all this golf, like, it didn't really resonate for me because I was never like a complete, you know, rock star like the two of you. It was like, you know, I was all right. Like, if I got into, you know, the Lucent Technologies, AJGA, like I was, you know, it was on a whim, right? Like, but I was around a lot of girls at the time that were ranked number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the country. So I definitely felt their energy. And I think it's just such a positive place. And what's even more beautiful is like, we've been able to curate these relationships and maintain these relationships. Like, one of my best friends, like, and we talk about Kevin Connolly, is Sean O'Hare. Like, I love him. Like, I've been able to maintain the relationship, and, you know, we have a great friendship because we have that respect from growing up together, you know, and I think that's what we all have here too.
Yeah. I mean, I keep in touch with, I mean, for the people that like chose to continue the path into professional golf from the academy when I was there, I would say I probably keep in touch with 75% of those people, which is pretty amazing, really. Like, everybody's life moves on, like everybody gets busy. But like, I mean, I see Ramon on like a weekly basis and when I was playing. And, you know, those are, I mean, we would laugh about so many of the stories we had back in high school. And it was a little bit like the Wild Wild West when we were there. Like, the coaches were just, everybody was so far ahead of their time. Nobody had like the perfect model on how they had to do it. It was just like, okay, we brought you people here to win. And like, we're going to find a way to make y'all do that. And, you know, I just think those were just the culture, the people, and the friendships that we developed down there are just really strong. And I think that everybody had a really awesome time. And I would be shocked if people that were down there when we were down there, didn't feel the same way. When we first started out, I could notice a difference between my first year down there and then my last year down there when like IMG really started getting involved and they kind of wanted to cash out. And so like all of a sudden it like lost a little bit of its specialness. It just got too corporate. It turned into a glorified rich kids boarding school. And when we were there, it just wasn't that. It was like we brought y'all here to come together and for y'all to win because we got to sell this thing. And how are we going to make somebody pay $90,000 a year to send their kid to school here? We all need to win. And so like we all relatively pulled for each other. And, everybody was super competitive. I mean, from every aspect. Like I remember the first year I was down there, Donna Tucci like coming and grabbing me out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning because I didn't want to go to workout. He's like dragging me out of the bed.
5:30 workouts.
Yeah. I mean,
No
it's
joke.
ridiculous. Like, a bunch of golfers.
No joke.
And, those are fun times. In today's world, in today's environment, you probably can't do it the way we all did. But the first year I was down there, I mean, I would say that between tennis and golf, it was probably more foreign than it was American. I would say it's probably 75% foreign.
Yeah.
And like, obviously you bring those cultures in. Like I remember one of my roommates was like a Korean guy and like his grandmother called and like I happened to answer the phone because we only had one phone, in the dorm, right? And like answered the phone and it was like double sale.
And that phone
like,
was nasty.
hey,
yes, that phone was nasty.
yeah, I was like, I think this is for you. I mean, so you had to find a way to like, get along with everybody.
For both of you, would you go back to those days?
Yes.
I would too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I would.
And what would you do differently? Both of you. What would you do differently?
I think I would have practiced harder. I would have valued what was happening around me. I didn't realize how much was happening around me and what I was being exposed to and the level of training. And one thing I do regret is, if I knew competitively what I was able to achieve now with business, with golf, like I would have applied myself differently, but you can't change life's path. I would have taken it more seriously.
Not taking it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Everything that you said, I agree. However, I don't really have regrets. I feel like I lived my childhood pretty amazingly. I mean, I was given, luckily through my parents, they were able to provide. I know they went through some hardship to get us to where we are, right? At Nick Bollettieri, what it was, the Nick Bollettieri Sports Academy. But I do agree, Nisha. I wish that I didn't take a lot of things for granted, but I don't really regret it. I lived a great childhood. I was able to curate so many amazing relationships. To sit here with you, Casey, and like literally you growing up were my best friend.
Yep.
Were my best friend. Like there was nothing that I wouldn't like confide in you for, or, you were just always there for both Nisha and I, and vice versa. So
I was there to do you guys' homework.
Hey,
you did our homework. We're very serious.
It took me 5 minutes to do your homework. And you guys are like, well, if I do it, it'll take me an hour and a half. If you do, it'll take you like 10 minutes.
We're like, we're busy.
We can go out, we can go, and I'm like, all right, fine.
Casey,
all right, let's do it. Let's go.
Watching American Idol. Okay.
Yeah, we were definitely.
Gosh.
What are you drinking, Casey, first of all?
I'm drinking a vodka tonic.
What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I don't know. You made it. I literally have no idea what I'm drinking. It's strong.
Sober fun.
Sober fun. Okay, so let's get into golf. Okay, so Casey, you leave IMG, right? And you blast onto the golf scene. Tell us your journey into professional golf from IMG.
Okay, so my journey transpired fairly quickly. So my last year at IMG, that summer before I was going to school, I'd signed a national letter of intent to go to Oklahoma State to play. And the summer before I went to Oklahoma State, I just happened to have a great run at it. I won a couple big amateur events, finished runner-up in the U.S. Amateur, played on the Walker Cup team, got myself eligible to play in the Masters and the US Open as a freshman in college. So, things kind of transpired fairly quickly for me. Went to school at Oklahoma State. Loved my time there. If I'm being fully transparent, it probably wouldn't have been like the number one school that I would have picked to have gone to college at. But I felt like based on where my golf was at, I felt like it was my best option for me to improve my golfing abilities, because at that time I felt like Oklahoma State had the best golf facilities available.
Carson Creek.
Carson Creek. And
Driving range.
yeah, I mean, it was
that
just,
course was sick.
yeah, I mean, it was just above and beyond everywhere that I went. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a super competitive environment, not too dissimilar from the academy.
Yeah.
But fast forward through college, played fall golf, played a little bit of spring golf. Obviously played in the Masters as a freshman, played really well. We had a fairly small team at Oklahoma State. I think we only carried about 8 or 9 guys when I was there. And I don't think we were historically as good as most, or as deep as most Oklahoma State teams were. Like Hunter Mahan had just left the year before I got there as a junior. College golf was kind of starting to change. Like,
yeah,
everybody was used to college golf being like 4 years, so you turn pro and you move on, right? And then like Hunter and a couple people like started turning pro like a fraction early. And then like I came along and I left after just 1 year. And then like Ricky and all them came right behind me, Morgan Hoffman, Ricky, Peter, Uline, all those guys. And they stayed for like 1 or 2 years and they were out. And so like, it was kind of in the middle of that like transition period of like what college golf has turned into. And I think for me personally, it was a little bit stressful because Mike Holder, who was my coach at the time, just wasn't used to that kind of transition. Mm-hmm. And he was used to his players staying for a longer period of time. And it was probably like the first time in my life where I felt like I really didn't have support for a decision that I wanted to make. Mm-hmm. And I was very, very close with my assistant coach at the time, Mike McGraw, who's now the head coach at Baylor. And, Mike couldn't have been any better to me. I mean, he was just like super supportive. And, I still keep in touch with Coach McGraw even, today. And I just think that, that period in time in college was just, it was fun, but I was kind of ready to move on to professional golf.
And so you made the decision. Tell us about your decision to sort of exit Oklahoma State and when you did it and how you did and why you did it.
Well, I made the decision because I'd created an opportunity for myself after how well I'd played in the summer leading up to college, plus during college, plus how I played in my first major championship at the Masters being the Low-Am. I created an environment to where I had an opportunity to support myself to be able to turn professional and play. And coming from the background of my family where my dad played professional golf, we just felt like those opportunities don't always stay around forever. Like, it's easy to look back on it and be like, man, I wish I would have stayed 3 more years in school. Maybe my game would have gotten better. Maybe I would have been a little bit more prepared, because like I was, from like maturity standpoint of what like life throws at you, I probably was definitely a little too young to turn pro at that time. But at the same time, like it's, 3 years down the road when I was a senior, that opportunity might not be there. And ultimately, professional golf is about being able to support yourself and your family. And for me, I just had that opportunity when I was a freshman. And so, I felt like I could always come back to school if golf didn't work out. And so I made the decision to jump and signed with International Management Group, which was obviously attached to the academy a lot because of their influence at the academy and the relationships I'd built with some of those guys down there. And really from there, it was just like hitting the fast forward button pretty much until I stopped playing about 2 years ago.
It's kind of cool to have you, because I know we chit chat a lot, but to have you here on Queens on the Green during Masters Week is an amazing opportunity in a sense of, can you share your experience, being the Low-Am at the Masters and like what that was being so young?
2004, youngest am, and I think you still hold that record, right? Of
For
lowest.
back nine score, yeah. As it was all a blur, in all honesty. Obviously, at that point in time, you're trying to play as good as you can play. I mean, I remember like I got paired with Tiger and Thomas Bjorn for the first 2 rounds.
Oh my God,
So
I love Thomas Bjorn.
Oh, he is a hoot. And I knew I was going to get paired with Tiger before the pairings came out. I had gotten word that I was. And so I reached out to Mark Steinberg at the time and was like, hey, can I like play a practice round with Tiger? Because obviously I'd never played with him before. And I just kind of wanted to see what the environment was like before we actually teed it up on Thursday. And he's like, yeah, sure. Just like go ask him. And I'm like, no. Like, can you set it up for me? And he's like, no, dude, like grow some balls and like go ask him. And I'm like, okay. And so I remember Tuesday morning, he's like, Tiger's going to be the first one off the tee. And I think they let us tee off at like 8:30. So he's like, show up on the driving range at 8 o'clock and just ask him. And so I like drummed up the courage to like walk up to Tiger and Marco Mira at the time, which were like the only 2 people on the driving range. I was like, Mr. Woods, you mind if I'll be at practice round? He's like, no, man, like be there at 8:30 and you're good to go. And so, yeah,
Wow.
I got to play a practice round with him on Tuesday, which was like hugely beneficial for like the tournament and to kind of see the circus and like what it was going to be. And so teed off on Thursday, like the amount of people around the tee box just for Tiger. I think we teed off, we were like the very first tee time for when TV coverage started. So they were going to show like every single hole essentially that Tiger played. And I mean, I remember having to get like a police escort from the putting green to the first tee because there were so many people there. Like I wasn't going to be able to tee off. I was like, hello, like
8:30. I gotta get out.
Were you nervous?
Oh my God.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous. I mean, there was no other way to describe it. It was, your blood is pumping, the golf club feels super light, and you're just trying to find the face. And, but, Tiger and Thomas both were great. They couldn't have been any more supportive or friendly. I mean, they tried to keep it really low key, as serious of an event as it was. And, I mean, we had a great time. I think I 4-putted my 3rd hole of the golf tournament or something crazy like that. So like reality like set in, and you just kind of sink into going back into playing competitive tournament golf once you get through a few holes. And luckily I was able to play good.
And can you share a little bit about like the conversation? What was it like? Obviously spending 2 days with them, but what were you guys talking about? Was there a conversation within the 2 days? What were some of the topics you guys were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we covered kind of everything. Obviously, Tiger, I knew a couple of people that Tiger knew like outside the game. Mm-hmm. And so we talked a little bit about that. At that point in time in Tiger's career, it was kind of more all business, more so than it was towards the end of his career, or when I played with him towards the end of my career, I guess I should say. And, there wasn't just a bunch of chit chat, but I remember like Tiger, like we got on the 5th tee. He's the best player in the world. He's like a god to me. Okay. We're playing in the Masters and he's got this tiny little Titleist 3-wood. Yeah. And like PT 13, like they were impossible to hit. He was like the only person on the planet that could hit it, and he could hit it like 300 yards, like perfectly straight. So anyway, long story short, we get to 5th hole of the Masters, first round. Tiger gets on 5T, pops this thing up. I mean, like a 20 handicap. I mean, it didn't go.
You like skied it?
Skied it. Like put an idiot mark on top of his.
No. Like a reverse skid mark?
And I just remember like sitting there and I was like, whoa, this is the best player to probably ever play the game, right? And he literally just skied it off the 5th tee at Augusta. I think he hit like from there, I think he hit like a 4. Yeah, I'm like, hey man, that sucks, right? But
better put that away this week.
Yeah, right. And needless to say, I think he had like 230 into the 5th hole and hit like a 4-iron to like 10 feet and made birdie or something stupid. And it was like, okay, I get it. Like I see why. But it was competitive. I mean, we all tried to do our thing, and but they were. We talked about sports. Obviously, Tiger is a huge sports guy and loves it all. And, it was as relaxed as it could be in that kind of environment.
Oh, that's freaking cool.
Well, I know we are obsessed with the Butler's Cabin. Okay, so first of all, Masters is our holiday. Okay, people pick Christmas or their birthdays, but we celebrate the Masters. Like that's our go-to holiday.
Real talk.
For real, for real, for real. So Butler's Cabin, share with us your thoughts
What's
on
going on in Butler's Cabin? For real.
really
What
goes
goes on?
what goes
Right.
down.
Who stages it? What's going on? Is there a greeter? What's going on in Butler's Cabin?
Share with us the process from like when you walk into.
Okay, so for me, obviously Phil won the Masters in '04. It was his first major, which was like a huge ordeal. And I'd finished probably an hour before Phil had finished. So, you had to kind of wait around a little bit of time. And I think they just like threw me in their pseudo green room of the Butler's Cabin while we just killed some time waiting on the tournament to finish.
So there's a green room in Butler's Cabin?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, but obviously it was a long time ago, but CBS has obviously set it all up for their TV production. And so I'm sure it's not laid out quite like that, any other time you would go there. So they had like couches and chairs and, stuff like that set up, and maybe even a TV monitor set up to where you could just sit in there and watch the finish of the golf tournament. But Phil wins. It's obviously a huge deal. He's like going nuts, and like, Phil likes to have a good time, right? So like he's done with the tournament, everybody's getting ready to go on TV, like him and Amy are in there, and it's like, should I leave? Should I leave y'all alone? Like, what's going on? But
You were gonna hook up in Butler's Cabin?
I mean, they were pretty excited.
Oh my
Not gonna
God.
lie.
I mean, if my husband won the Masters in
Totally.
Butler's Cabin, he gonna get it. He gonna get it.
You're
Yeah.
like, Jim Nance, watch this.
No, but it was a cool experience. Obviously, it was fun to be there with somebody like Phil because it was his first major. And obviously it meant so much to him. So it was kind of fun to feel like the vibe or the aura or whatever you want to say it was. It was like, you could feel, even for somebody like me that wasn't even involved in the professional game at that point in time in my career, you could really feel like the weight had been lifted off his shoulders since he had made that putt on 18. And it was just like almost like a spiritual enlightenment, and you could just tell from there that he was just gonna go on to like win more major championships and win more Masters and stuff, because it was like the monkey was off his back. And I think that that putt lipping in was a huge deal.
Man, I remember that putt.
Yeah. Okay. So now you got to get seated.
Yeah, now we get seated. It's like, it literally takes 4 minutes. It's not nearly as long. It's like you get seated, everybody's ready to roll, or actually you don't even get seated. I think like we all walked in the room. Like, so Jim Nance starts it, you walk in the room. I think Mike walked in the room first. I think I walked in the room. Yeah, Weirzy walks in first because he's giving the jacket to Phil. I walk in, then Phil walks in, and it's 2 minutes long, kind of go over your round, whatever. It's more about Phil than it is about the amateur at that point. And then it's done. But really the coolest part about being either the low am or the winner at Augusta, other than the perks that come along with winning the Masters as a professional, or I guess anybody winning it, is that you have dinner in the clubhouse that night, Sunday evening. So like all of Phil's representation and Phil's family and everybody ate in the clubhouse. All my family that was there with me ate with me in the clubhouse. So you're sitting at this long table with like Phil, Amy, I can't remember if his kids were there or not, but like members of Augusta, the chairman, which at that time, I'm pretty sure it was Hootie.
Yeah.
And, like my mom, my dad, my brother, and some of the other people that were there with me. And man, it was just like, everybody's so excited, and, everybody's having such a good time. And it's such like a grinding week. Even if you're only doing it as an amateur, like you're still trying to play good. And just to see kind of like the release of what all the pressure was and just like having a good time that night was something I'll never forget.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And look at, kind of just like such amazing like history for you to have those memories and with your family and, you know, and I remember we couldn't have been more proud.
Yeah.
It was like bragging because I was I don't even know. I think I graduated. I would think I was on like the first year of the Futures Tour, like chunky.
You were like, I'm down here playing Rolling Rock. This little guy.
You're like, I just got my first check.
Like, just got to Lima, Ohio, for my 3-day. Anyway,
Yeah, we were definitely super excited. And speaking of family, you have a beautiful wife, Haley, who we absolutely adore.
hey, Haley.
Haley.
Haley is waddling around right now, about to pop.
She is. We're gonna have a child any day now.
Hey, girls. So,
Come
baby
join us.
Are we allowed to announce a name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Really?
Are you ready to be aunties, Nish?
Yeah.
Baby Miller Andrew Wittenberg is on its way any day now. You guys, how are you feeling? This is the first time you guys are going to be parents. How are you guys feeling?
Excited.
Yeah.
Scared and excited.
We're excited. We're a little scared, but
Don't drop the baby.
hey, don't drop the baby.
Good advice.
Hey.
What does the baby's room look like?
Oh
So there's his dock. There's his little bed.
So cute. Oh, look at the pillow.
A little Peter Rabbit book.
Peter, we had those, Sam.
And here's some toys for him. Lovies. His little lovies.
Oh my God.
Bag for the hospital.
Here's his hospital bag.
Oh, wow. You guys are super prepared.
Yeah, Nish.
Potentially.
Super prepared.
This isn't like a dog or a cat. Like, you gotta like be able to take care of them.
Oh. We're so happy for you guys. I know that we're so proud of you and we miss you. You know, I know that we have so many amazing memories together. To close out, I know that we want to play a quick game. So we have a really fun game called Who Would You Rather? And it's a famous game that we've created here on Queens on the Green.
Queens on the Green.
We did bring Snoop Dogg and Nelly to Augusta to throw concerts. And we were just wondering, if you had the choice to play 9 holes with either Snoop Dogg or Nelly, who would it be?
Snoop.
Wow, it's easy.
Yeah.
I would go with Snoop.
Why Snoop?
Why Snoop?
I just feel like Snoop would be more fun. He would just be more chill. But you know what? I heard this story from Nelly the other day when I was driving home in the car, and they were like, Nelly, what's the most impactful thing you've ever had in your life? Like, have you ever been starstruck? And he's like, yeah, one time. And they're like, who? And he's like, Michael Jackson. And they were like, really? And they were like, explain. He's like, so one time he said, I just come out with Down, Down, Baby, No Street in the Rain. Okay. And he said, so one of my producers calls me and it's like, hey, Michael loves this song and he wants to talk. So he's like, Michael gets on the phone. He's like, Nelly, he's like, your new album is so hot. He's like, I'm going down, down, baby, no street in the rain. And Nelly's like, I mean, I got Michael Jackson singing my song to me on a phone. He's like, it took me like 15 minutes to actually believe that it was real. And so from that aspect, I think Nelly is super cool. And I love his music. But if I only had one round of golf, it's going to be with Snoop.
It's pretty awesome. We've had the honor to play golf a little bit with both of them. I wouldn't be able to pick because if I had to re-pick, they're both so chill, so cool. They just want to have a good time. Like, that's what golf is, you know? Cocktails, good conversation, and some golf tips. Next question. This one's really fun. So, Casey, you have a 3.5-hour drive from Sarasota to Orlando, but the radio is busted, okay? It's not working. Patrick Reed and Billy Payne call you to carpool for 3.5 hours. no radio. Who do you pick? Patrick Reed or Billy Payne?
Which one's that?
I would probably say Billy Payne. I mean, nothing against Patrick.
No, totally.
I don't really even know Patrick that well, but the former chairman of Augusta would probably be a fun ride for 3.5
Yeah,
hours.
that'd be fun. Last question. Which show would you rather go on? Dancing with the Stars or American Idol?
American Idol.
Really?
Yeah.
What
for
song
sure.
would you sing?
I guess that is singing.
What do you sing now?
Getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
I'm getting hot.
I wanna take my clothes off.
We love you.
So much.
We're so happy that you're able to join us on Queens on the Green. We couldn't be more proud of you.
Yes.
We love Haley and we wish you all the best.
And
Hey,
most importantly, we're so excited to be a part of the family. So
Thank y'all.
and a special shout out to Mama Didi.
Mama
Mama
Dee
Dee.
Dee, she's in here.
you.
I know. We miss Mama Dee Dee. We saw them a few weeks ago though, so they're all doing good.
Amazing. Well, we love you both. And, we're going to FaceTime and annoy the hell out of you anyway. So we'll see you very soon.
All right. Thanks, girls.
Stay driven.
Bye.
Stay
Bye,
good.
guys.
Bye.
Out driving with the queens on the green. Queens on the green.